Welcome to another episode of Exceptional TV with me, your host, Alex Granger. Today I'm very excited to be having Gilan Gork, mentalist, author, and global speaker. Gilan Gork, welcome to Exceptional TV. I'm so excited to have you, and we have been having conversations about doing this for a long time.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
And finally, because you travel all over the world, we can never keep up with you, Gilan. But here you are. So thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks for having me, man.
How's it been, man?
Things have been great. 2018 has just been a wonderful year. There's been a lot of growth, a lot of new people coming into my life, my business, and it's just been a wonderful experience. So hopefully, please God, it just continues this way.
Yeah, that's what we need. I mean, with all the things going on now with petrol price increases, inflation, unemployment, I can imagine that there's a lot of distress in the market. People can't find jobs. It's really difficult. So, this channel really is around helping people find their purpose, helping organizations grow and leave a lasting legacy. And so, just for our viewers' sake, we always ask the first question is, so who is Gilan Gork? Now, before you answer that, I know you drove a car blindfolded. I don't know how you did it. And I also know you predicted the World Cup 2010. I don't know how you did it. So who is Gilan?
Well, I'm a mentalist, which kind of speaks to the things that you're... Exactly. I only look at people intently when I want their deep, dark secrets. Okay. So, for the rest of the interview, we'll just... But it's okay. I mean, you're clean, bro. I know you. I'll get nothing from you. I'm a mentalist, which basically means that I specialize in reading and influencing people. And the things that you've described sound kind of psychic, supernatural.
Yeah.
And I'll admit that a lot of the things that I've done have that kind of feel to it, but I am the first to say that there's nothing psychic or supernatural about me. But I use my five senses to create the experience of a sixth sense.
Right.
But most of what I do is not necessarily the driving blindfolded or predicting stuff. It's really around influence. It's around helping companies, helping people to become the most influential versions of themselves, so that they can get what they want in life.
Yeah. So I want to come to influence in a short while, but I want to understand what led you to this, calling this path the thing that you do. What made you do this? I mean, have you always been in it, or did you work in a corporate environment like most of us did? We went to work, we earned a salary, or did you just at an early age realize that you have a special gift, or did you just pursue this thing? How did you do it?
Well, I mean, you mentioned the word gift, and a lot of people they expect that I woke up one morning and just like had people's voices in my head, and when did you know you had this gift? And it's not like that. Like I mentioned, I've been mentored by mentalists around the world since I was a teenager.
Okay.
And so this is a learned skill. It's something that was a passion of mine, and then it was always something that I wanted to pursue as a career, and had my ups and downs. Really, what happened is I nearly failed school because I was so I was so passionate about being a mentalist.
I was so naughty.
Well, that as well.
Okay.
But I nearly failed school. I couldn't get into university. So I didn't go the whole university corporate route. Like you asked. I just wanted to be on stage as a mentalist.
Okay.
But times were really, really tough. I was basically broke living at home with my folks.
Wow.
As an entertainer, I was just using it to entertain people. 2008 hit. It was a really, really tough time.
Oh yeah.
And so what really changed and it got me into thinking about influence was that someone gave me an audio CD of a gentleman I'm sure you've heard of, John C. Maxwell.
Of course.
A
leadership guru.
He's a leadership guru.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And so I played this audio CD, which was him presenting at some conference somewhere in the world. And if you're familiar with John's work, he says that everything rises and falls on influence.
Absolutely.
Our effectiveness in life rises and falls on that. And so I suddenly realized that I was going through this tough time as an entrepreneur. But if I just deconstructed the psychology that I already knew, that had been taught to me but it was taught to me in the narrow context of being a mentalist and doing these feats on stage. But if I could deconstruct that, I would be able to apply it to other things like building my brand, sales, building my business. And so that's what I started to do. It started to work. I had brunch with Robbie Brosen, who started Nando's, one day, and he said to me, Gilan, you should start consulting to companies. And what was really tough is that I suddenly had this enormous dream that I'm going to travel the world, inspire people, move them from stage, equip them on how to influence in life and achieve what they want to achieve. But I had zero credibility coming from being an entertainer. So I had to use all of these principles that I wanted to teach to build my own brand, and thankfully the results of that is where I am today, having spoken around the world and having the book and all of that. So that's the journey on how I got to this point.
Amazing. So obviously I studied NLP, and I have to do another refresher thing sometime this year. And one of the questions or comments that I've heard from people who talk about neuro-linguistic programming / influence is there some manipulation? Is there, you know what I mean? So some people will think because you have this skill and this art, is it actually getting into someone's brain and actually changing one's willpower and manipulating their action and their behavior? Is there sorcery at play, should we say? Because NLP has been dubbed like that, that it's, and it's great. I love NLP because it's really good for life coaching, for helping people find their purpose, to change their lives and all that kind of stuff. But often people think that if you become a practitioner, you begin to manipulate people because you've learned certain skills to be able to influence people. How do you feel about that?
Look, this concern is not exclusive to NLP. It's really anything. If you start, learning anything like body language, I mean, all of these things do fall in NLP as well as a broad umbrella. But look, here's the thing. If you hear of someone manipulating someone else, immediately questionable, images or thoughts come to mind. But if you had to see a parent manipulating their child to look both ways before crossing the road safely, would you question that?
No, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't, because you know that the intention is pure, right? So I always use the analogy of a surgeon's knife, which is it's a tool that can be used for great good or for great evil. Depends on the person using it. And the same is true with influence.
That's right.
So it really is a tool, and it depends on how you use it. The greatest leaders who have done so much good in this world, Madiba, for example, he knew what he was doing. He deliberately went out to influence people, but he had a certain intention. Then you look at other people who are some of the world's most evil leaders.
They also used influence,
but for really bad purposes. So that's my answer to that one.
So how would you define influence? What is this thing called influence? Because in my mind, I'm thinking, is it persuasiveness? Is it, I know you do a lot of different things, especially with your experiences when you're doing them on stage, that are mind-blowing. But it's obviously more than just reading one's body language and body and language tone and all those kind of things. What is it in simple terms? Like if a viewer just wants to understand, okay, so what is influence and how can I become more influential?
Yeah, that's a great question. And my passion is deconstructing influence so people can understand it like that, so we can go and get what we want. Look, influence is quite a broad term. You mentioned persuasiveness. That might be one form of influence. Then you look at, I mentioned Nelson Mandela before. I mean, he still has influence. He's not even around.
That's true.
And so influence can be interpreted in many different ways. When I deconstruct influence for people, I really think that it comes down to 3 subconscious questions that people's brains are asking about you or anyone else, even a company, a brand. And the more positively these 3 questions are answered, the more influence you'll have with them. And sometimes they don't even realize they're asking these questions, so it's more of a gut feeling. It's not even a conscious process. So the 3 questions are, can I rely on you, or are you reliable? Second question is, are you capable of helping me? And the third question is, do you care about me? And this is what I call my rapid influence formula, because you put those 3 together, ultimate influence lies right in the middle there. And it's interesting because once you've answered all those 3, you're building things like trust, you're building credibility, you're building a sense of loyalty and support. And I think that whether you are sitting with someone one-on-one and you're trying to persuade them, trying to get them to say yes to something, whether you're just building a brand, whether you've got a message to share. So in the context of sales, leadership, even self-influence, I really think that influence will fall into those three questions and how those are answered.
I like every time I ask you a question, you talk about deconstruction, which is really critical for me, because, and it doesn't have to be influence, it can be anything. Like if you talk about purpose, can one deconstruct their own purpose? I think it's critical, which leads me to you're an author, right?
Yeah.
Persuasion Games.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Persuasion Games was released in 2015.
Yeah, I remember.
It became a local bestseller and also on Amazon as well.
I got a sign.
And I'm working on my next book now as well.
Really? What's it called?
I don't have the official title, but
I will influence you to get the right title.
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, your books have been a great success. I've read your books, and so maybe I should come to you for some title ideas.
Well, actually, you reviewed my book.
Yes, that's right. I reviewed Force. Of course. And it will be around what I've just described now, around my rapid influence formula and how you can use that to lead better, to sell, to market, to inspire, and even to influence yourself, which is, I think, a stronger form of self-motivation. Self-influence is really how we get things done.
I've never come across that, self-influence. Actually, when you said it earlier, I was quite intrigued, like, wow, that really sounds exciting, self-influence. Because you obviously think of the word influence and you think about, how am I going to do it to other people? How am I going to help other people? But actually, you got to start with self, right? I'm looking forward to that.
I think that we are the most difficult people to influence ourselves, right? Exactly.
That's true.
And how can you influence other people if you can't influence yourself? How can you lead other people if you can't lead yourself? You're going to fall short at some point, right?
Sure.
And so those three questions, your mind is asking those three questions about yourself every day. You have a feeling about yourself of whether you're reliable or you can rely on yourself. How consistent are you, for example? You're wondering to yourself, am I capable? And then in terms of care, you also have a feeling of self-care, self-love.
Right.
And so when you put those three together, when you feel like you can rely on yourself, that you're capable of doing it, and you're behaving in a way that you care about yourself, your self-influence, you leave with a sense of certainty to go out and do what you need to do. And in that is a sense of motivation.
Awesome. Well, we're on set with Gilan Gork, amazing mentalist, and just chatting everything influence. So, Gilan, as I mentioned earlier, so as we wrap it up, 3 calls to action. What do you think you can share with our viewers that they can get a handle on and begin to implement in their lives around the influence?
Well, I think that based on what we discussed
the
here,
3 things.
It's pretty
clear.
Those
3 main things.
So the 3 call to, if I had to turn that into a call to action, I would say, in terms of reliability, start doing things every day that will increase your sense of reliability
and
with
reinforce
yourself.
it as well.
Exactly. So, as soon as you wake up, do things. I mean, you've heard the whole make your bed in the morning, for example. Even something as seemingly insignificant and small as that, you just know you're doing something every single day.
I'm glad you're saying this, because my producers, my daughter and the bed thing.
Exactly. It's so if there's something that you're procrastinating on, just do it. Just say, I'm going to do it for 3 minutes, and chances are you'll finish the entire task. But just get those tasks done, do what you need to do. The more you start to rely on yourself, the more trust you start to form with yourself. The second thing is capability. Engage in a process of self-development, where every single day you are inputting something that's going to help you become better. Whether that is watching a video, a podcast, if it's an article, reading a book, listening to an audiobook. There's so many different places to get good content. So find something that's going to improve you in terms of your capability of, and let that be relevant to your dream, your goal that you want to achieve. And then in terms of care, just care a little bit more about yourself. Start taking the time to be mindful about how you feel about things, by giving yourself the same kind of perspective and fair perspective that you would give to a friend who comes to you with problems. Because so often we just criticize ourselves, we're not mindful, we're always playing the let me compare myself against other people. We're not fair to ourselves, right? So just start being fair to yourself. And so those are just 3 ways. Obviously there's many more things in each of those spheres, but those are at least 3 things you can start doing to create that sense of self-influence.
Love it, love it. Gilan, thank you so much for being on set. We've been on set with Gilan Gork, mentalist, speaker, international speaker, author, and all things great around influence. So thank you for being on our show today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Awesome. So guys, you know what to do. Do the things that need to be done. And if you need to get in touch with me, it's alex@exceptionaltv.co.za. Until the next time, I'm out.